Hello, this is Lisa LeRose. I want to welcome you to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM on the Vibrant Living Network. And I'm joined today by the wonderful Michael J. Russ, founder of Life Moves Podcast, entrepreneur, overall wonderful human being. And I want to welcome you, Michael. How are you?
I'm awesome today, really awesome. Back in my office after a few days off, but loving it.
Perfect. So I have a question for you. When you were younger, maybe a kid, there was a game that I used to play called Mastermind. It was one of my very favorite games. It was a sort of like a decoding board. You had little colored pegs that you put into little holes on the board, and you had it covered up. And through the process of elimination, the other player would try to decode your code by putting their pegs into holes and guessing the order of the colors. Did you ever play that game?
No, and it's obvious that you had a much more interesting childhood than I had.
Well, it's kind of like a code breaker game where you had to guess the pattern. Everything, it had to be the same order and the same color. And you would, if you had a correct color in the right peg, it was the person would let you know that you had the one color correct, but it may not be in the correct peg. So as you sort of went through the board, it was one of.
I think it's cool.
I love that game. I love trying to get somebody to play that game with me. And, I was thinking about it because here we are. We're like little round pegs, each of different colors, going to be put into a slot. And as we're sort of going through life, I thought, what a good metaphor for something so simple that you and I have heard of many times called, masterminding, and how that applies to our life. How can we actually become our own code breakers so that we can live a more fulfilled life? And last week we were speaking about worth and value, and I just thought about this as sort of like a metaphor for that. And now I know what to give you for your birthday. I'm going to send you that game.
It's amazing.
It's a great day for everybody to have. So, here we are. I'm maybe a green peg on the board, and I'm in my certain slot. And not unlike somebody that is an entrepreneur, I sort of, vision of what my life is going to be and what I want to have and what I want to create. And as I sort of move through the game of life, there's certain tools that seem to make a difference. And one of the things that has made a great difference to me is having you in my life. You are a great mirror for me. You help encourage me. You give me little tools along the way. And so I would say that, as being part of my own personal soul group, you are also part of my mastermind group. And so I'd love to explore that and how that has impacted your life and some of the ways that you use that tool to further your career, further the self-improvement and things like that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think that's an awesome topic, one that it can really take you a lot farther than you otherwise would on your own. And it's interesting because my sister and I are sort of mastermind partners. We call each other and support each other all the time. She's an entrepreneur. Became an entrepreneur when she was she used to manage a Brook furniture rental store in Orange County. And this was back in the 80s. And she enjoyed it. She didn't have kids at the time, and she wanted to have kids. She was planning on having kids. And she says, I can't do this here. I can't do this and have kids and raise the kids that I, want to raise the way I want to raise them. I'm too far from my home, commute, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. She said, so I decided that I would reinvent myself. This is what she called it, reinventing myself. Mm-hmm. And she said, I reinvented myself. I went ahead and the first thing she did was create, she says, I'm going to create a series of ballet videos for beginners, for mothers and their daughters. I said, really? She says, I'm shooting this video. I'm going to shoot this video. This comes to her head. I don't know where it comes from. And we talked about this. And the beautiful thing is when she had this idea, the first thing she did was call me. She said, I got this really cool idea. And we bounced it off each other. And I'm sitting there. I'm just a listening board right at that particular point. And I'm going, wow, that is amazing. Amazon was just getting started as a bookstore. They were carrying videos. They were carrying books. They weren't really as far down the line as they are now. And I said, well, how are you planning on doing it? I said, give me your ideas. She says, I know a prima ballerina for Disney. I said, really? She says, yeah. She says, I'm going to pay her to record a beginning video, ballet for beginners, that a mother and daughter could sit in the living room, put the video in. This is back in the video day, by the way. That's how long ago this was. You put the video in, and a mother and daughter could dance these moves together so that
how beautiful.
The daughter could go to her first ballet class and be more confident than if she had just walked in the door not knowing anything. And I said, oh, my God, that is so amazing. And this is the way my sister thinks, right? This was before she had kids. And she was, I think she had gotten pregnant sometime in the next 6 months or 8 months, something like that. And she ended up having a couple of kids who are absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. I think she used them in all the stuff that she created, early childhood education, music and movement, this and that. But everything she did, every time she had an idea, she would give me a call. And we'd kind of bounce it around and expand upon it, right? And the one thing we have to understand when it comes to doing this sort of thing with people is that it's not about us. It's about them. It's the one most important thing we always have to remember when we get into a situation where we know in our mind, we set the intention to create a little mastermind group. And this is the first thing we have to do is create the intention to do it. And know in our minds, in our hearts and our souls, it can be done. Okay? Because this is all about attraction. It's all about connecting with people who are like-minded, people who have creativity, who are inspired, people who are maybe entrepreneurs, people who have those characteristics that we would like to emulate. And we come together with them, and sometimes it starts by saying, hey, I really admire you, and you've really been successful. I would love to sit down and have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever, with you, have lunch with you, and kind of talk about some ideas that I have, and talk about how you got where you are, what obstacles you had to overcome, and other things of that nature. And this is really how it starts, having that kind of conversation where you're sitting and experiencing the highest frequency, which is enlightenment for yourself. You connect with them, and then you let them know what you're looking to do. Can I, on occasion, when I have some ideas and some other things, can I give you a buzz, and can I bounce them off of you, this and that? And the process works when neither of you is judgmental about something the other one's doing. And it's also great when you connect with someone. That could be a situation where you've got a mentorship kind of thing going on. With people who are your own age, your peers, you want to be on the lookout for people who have that inspiration, that creativity, who are go-getters, who are doers, and not people who just sit around thinking about things and never actually take action. When you connect with somebody like that, and when you keep a lookout and connect with somebody like that, who's on your same level, somebody who's aspiring to go somewhere, be something, do something, and they're in that phase of fact finding and query, right? So you want to connect with them and say, let's sit down, let's talk about our dreams, let's talk about our goals. I want to know what you're doing, and I'd like to bounce some ideas about what I'm doing. And if they come back with an energetic smile and, oh yeah, that'd be awesome, then you're on your way. And it just kind of develops from there. And for me, my sister's one. I know you are definitely one. And I hope I'm the same for you.
Absolutely.
And I've got 3 other people that I do the same thing with. But it's not like every day. It's not every week. It is when I have it's a couple of months here. Some people I talk to once or twice a year, or once every couple of years. other people I talk to more often, because everybody's busy. People who are creative, inspired, moving, going, being, doing, are busy people. They're actualizing their intentions, their goals, their dreams. They're actualizing them in real time. And when you do that, what happens is you're operating then at a frequency, the frequency of inspiration and creativity. Mm-hmm. And you're definitely attracting with that frequency that you're emanating, that you're putting out there, you're resonating yourself and putting out, you're going to be attracting other people like that as well. And we have to respect other people's time. And we have to respect that they are actualizing their ideas, their intentions, and their inspirations that are coming, their intuitions. And I love it because I can sit down and I can meditate, and I can write down. I can have a notepad next to me, and when I'm done, I have to write down everything that I've thought about, and then it's down on paper, and then I can move on to what I need to do, and come back to it later on. This is why, for people who are want to be in a mastermind situation, it all begins with you. This is really, guys, what I'm trying to say. It begins with you. You're the one who becomes your own mastermind, where you write down your inspirations, your intuitions. You see something, you see a need, you write it down. You may not fill that need. And I know entrepreneurs that are like this. They simply write down all the ideas for businesses that they have, that they come across. They see things. They may not pursue them themselves, but it's part of the creative process. Mm-hmm. It's part of that, getting your creative side of your brain going, getting it ramped up. And again, it's not about you're going to go do everything at once. It's something that comes to you. You intuit a thought. It may be something you can do. It may be something that you're supposed to share with somebody else, and not something you do. And we all have to get to know our own wheelhouse. I know mine. I have intimate familiarity with what I am good at, and what I'm not good at, I seek in others so that I can become better at what I'm not good at. And and I have people come to me and do that same thing. That I want to write a book, whatever. What do I do? And I'm like, well, what kind of book? With this and that. Let's help ferret out your idea. Let's get it rolling. Let's get a diagram in our mind of what this looks like for you, and where you want to go with it. And there are lots of resources for the mechanical aspects of things. However, this is more about your creating the intention within yourself first, and putting on that cap of intuition, where you're tapping into intuition, you're tapping into your inspiration, things that are coming through you, things you're seeing, and it's a really fun world to live in. And I live in it every single day. Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. I got a notepad here. I've gone through journal after journal after journal.
And I have one of your journals. I just want to comment and just say how amazing it is that you sat there with your sister and listened to her, not in judgment, not saying, well, you're not a prima ballerina. That's a dumb idea. Why would you even think that you could do such a thing? I mean, to have that unconditional support and no judgment and just listen and bounce ideas off. And I really applaud her for seeing a vision and wanting to bring something. I was, as a young girl, intimidated by ballet class. If I would have had a tool like that, I think it would have made all the difference. You're standing in front of these big mirrors that, next to a bar with a bunch of girls that you don't know who they are. And, you're comparing yourself to how well you perform. I mean, what an amazing tool to be able to give young girls. And I think that, not to see an obstacle and say, well, just because I don't know how to do something, I'm not going to try. As you said, you know your own wheelhouse, so you can seek out other people who have the skill set where you're lacking. You look at different luminaries. Like I live in Pittsburgh, so Andrew Carnegie is a big part of the Pittsburgh history. And, a lot of people don't realize this, but he was a diminutive stature. He was quite short, but he never let it stop him. He worked in a steel mill, and he had a vision, and he would bounce ideas off of different individuals, and he was determined that nothing was going to stop him. And as you were speaking, Michael, I thought about some of the other sort of mastermind groups, throughout history. The painters, the Impressionist painters would all sort of get together, and they were doing something that was really quite different. They were painting light. They were doing something that, there was always classical painting, but these ones, they said, okay, you know what, I'll sit here and I'll paint the same scene, but from different times of the day when the light is different. And they could be sitting at the same spot, but all of their paintings were different. And Impressionism is really one of my favorite styles of painting.
It is gorgeous. I love. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Manet, Monet, Van Gogh. I mean, 100 haystack paintings at different times of the day. I could, and I've been to the Met, and every time I go, the last time I went, there was a beautiful Impressionist exhibit, and you're just in awe of that. What most people really don't know is that these painters were all in Paris. They all knew each other. They hung out with each other, and they talked to each other all the time. And so a couple things I want to say, 3 things. First thing is, if somebody shoots down your idea, you need to rethink who you're hanging out with, because somebody shooting down your idea is literally, and you actually taking it as something serious, something you should be paying attention to, is totally incorrect. You have an idea, it's your idea. If you have a dream, it's your dream. If you have a goal, it's your goal. Other people can let their personality, their ego, and their past failures, they can attempt to oppress those on you. And that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them and their own personal life story. So you're in the process of writing yours, creating it. You're the director. You're writing it, you're directing it, you're producing it, you're financing it, you're writing rewrites. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do with your life, because it's your life. And I'll say this: my sister couldn't carry a note when we were growing up. My brother and I were the singers and the musicians. Brother played guitar and sang. I'm not kidding. I'm like, wouldn't want to be in the same room with her trying to carry a note. Okay, so here's what she did.
That's where I'm giggling.
Now, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Imagine that. That's amazing.
Okay, let me just say this: the ballet videos went from beginning to intermediate to advanced to recital. 4 videos.
Oh my goodness!
They became the best-selling ballet videos on Amazon for I think 10 years, and they're still on Amazon. She still sells them as DVDs. She had to convert them all to DVD. So I'm saying that, and she's moved on to other projects. So that's the beauty about creating something like that. You create it once, and you just keep creating iterations of it as you go along. And secondarily, you have to be confident within yourself. We talked about worthiness and doubt and self-confidence last week in the last show, which I definitely encourage people to go listen to on our Connect to Love podcast, because we really kind of laid out some of the things that people can do to increase their confidence, self-confidence, how they can eliminate doubt, how they can be more worthy, how they consider themselves more worthy. You are. If somebody else is telling you you're not, then again, you're hanging around with the wrong people. You have to seek out people who are innovative and creative and doing things that you would like to be doing, and then you go do it. So my sister, to get back to the singing, didn't know how to sing. Yet the next thing she calls me and she says, I'm going to do music and movement for kids. Really? Yeah, I'm going to do early childhood education. Now, by this time, she had 2 kids already. It was about 3-4 years later. She had 2 kids, 2 young ones. And she was going to create these music and movement musical things based on early childhood education. And we're talking about food, we're talking about numbers, we're talking about movement, we're talking about all these kind of things. And things that would help kids grow up to be inspiring and creative, and just the perfect child. And I told her a couple of I don't know, sometime in the last 6 months, I said, I'm going to tell you something, because my nephew, her son, came and stayed with me. He's in UCLA now. Both her son and daughter were 4.0 students, 4.0 plus throughout their entire beginning, secondary education, all the way through college. 4.0. It's amazing. This kid is so brilliant. He's amazing. And I go, what happened? What did you do? The kid was, and in my view, he was exposed to the things that his mother, and not only the frequency his mother was projecting with regard to inspiration, intuition, creativity, positivity. She literally was a walking ball of positivity, inspiration, and creativity. It was just like all the time, writing stuff down, doing things. She made singing CDs. She went to a music teacher and learned how to sing, a vocal coach. And then she went and created CDs on her own. She was singing. She got me to come. Every time I came to L.A., she'd say, Mike, you're singing in the studio with me for like 2 hours on blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. She got my brother to come sing. She got some Star Trek actors to come sing, 2 of them, in fact, from my brother's show. And they sang for free. Nobody was charging anything. And so it's really quite interesting that she's walking evidence of how you can develop experiential wisdom to do things, and with everything you do, every step you take, you develop a greater level of success, you obtain a greater level of success, and then just propels you on. And then before you know it, there's nothing you can't do. Absolutely nothing. And then she comes to me the other day and goes, I'm going to reinvent myself. The angel journals. Yeah, I'm going like, again? You're like, yeah. She says she created these angel journals. I'm not angels. She created these journals based on musical theater, popular musical theater. And my girlfriend says, how many journals does she have up on Amazon? She was thinking, maybe 50, 10, 20. I said 800. She goes, what?
Wow, that's
800
amazing.
Journals on Amazon. She does. She's created a secondary income from these journals. She put them on. She had this spurt of like 6-8 months to a year where she put a lot of these journals, and they're really, really good stuff. They're really good. Lines of things. She gets people buying all kinds. Yeah. So what I'm saying here is you can hear my excitement and my passion about what it is that I talk about, and the experience I've had, and the people that I deal with, and you are the same way. And what I want our listeners to do is to experience that for themselves. You know what you're good at. You know what you have to do. You can take any information and turn it into something that can help be of service to someone else. And somebody told me last year, your life should be 50% service to others. Mm-hmm. At least 50% service to others. And if you can get to 90, you're amazing. You're angelic. Because we're here to be of service to others, to help others rise up. And your job is to pick somebody up. As I like to say, leave someone better than when you found them. Mm-hmm. Leave someone better. It doesn't matter whether you only see them for 2 seconds. I've talked like this before. You meet somebody, they help you out. Leave them better than when you arrived. Leave them feeling better. Leave them smiling. Lighten their load. Do something to help them understand that humanity exists, that love, compassion, and empathy and kindness are real, not just some fantasy, that they're real, and that you can do that. I'm walking through the hotel. I'm at the Beau Rivage. Every woman cleaning a room, I stop and say, how are you? How are you doing?
Oh, that's nice.
I'm great. Keep that smile. Keep that smile. I wish you a great day. How many people just walk by and say, this is the person who just cleans the room and blah, 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 don't say anything. But these people are real people. They're working for a living. They've got families. They have feelings. And to me, I just want to see them smile. I want to pick them up, if only for 2 seconds, just to be cordial. Look them in the eye and say, hey, how are you today? I hope you have an awesome day today. And they smile and go back and go, yeah, thank you. And that's it. Be a ball of light that helps other lights shine brighter than you. That is, to me, that's the key to life. Everything I do has that around it. The journals I create, my intent is to have at least one person hold one and go and have it be an inspiration for them to write down something about what the journal topic is, the theme of the journal is, or whatever. Listen to my audiobook and actually, say, hey, this is awesome. I had somebody, I've got a salt video on, a video about Real Salt, the company called Real Salt from Utah. And every once in a while I get these comments. Somebody stops and says, "This is the most amazing thing. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for whatever." And then I take the time to go back and write them at least a 4 or 5 line reply. They took the time to reply to what I did. I want to help them feel really good about themselves for doing that, and give them some words of encouragement, inspiration, whatever I need to do, whatever comes to me at the time. That's the whole idea. Masterminding is in my view, one of the most amazing tools that we have in this world for picking each other up. And it's amazing to me that I could say the people that I encounter most, these people that I'm picking up, my goal is to get them away from the drama and the chaos and the despair that they may be thinking about their own lives, and help them understand that there is another, that there is that love, that compassion, that empathy and kindness. It does exist. Like I said, it is real, and help them feel it, if only for a moment, a brief moment. And if I have the opportunity to go farther, I give them some bit of encouragement as to how they can, move forward and feel better more often. That bit of alchemy, and that is teach them about that, help them, enlighten them, because we have to lift everybody up. That's the only way that we're going to create a society that we all want to live in all the time. Is if we can help those who are in that and operating in the lower frequencies, leave those lower frequencies as often as possible and as quickly as possible. Now, I'd like to know something from you. How many mastermind people do you have? Okay. And talk to me about how you found them, because so that our audience can get a different perspective of this.
It's an interesting question, and I think many of them are found through shared common interests. I tend to gravitate towards individuals that are creative. So this past weekend was a 24-hour art event here, and it's completely free. And I usually will participate as an artist painting this year. However, I just was there as a participant, which was kind of a nice change for me. But, you walk around, there's usually about 16,000 people. Each participant that wants to come has the ability to hang a piece of their art, and it's a non-jury show, or they can sell it or just display it. And, it's really interesting because sometimes in the least expected places you receive the most profound gifts. and it was just so interesting because, looking at the different art, I had gone in the evening and I sort of walked around, and there was plethora of people, and you kind of get pushed and shoved. But I always like to go the next day, and kind of when there's not so many people and it's the daylight and you're seeing things from a different perspective. And there was a interesting, it was sort of a cubical, hexagonal, I don't know, it sounds strange, but this person had constructed a piece of art out of glass and mirrors and then an electronic light strip. And I looked at it at night and I thought, oh, that's sort of interesting. Didn't really think anything about it. And this young man was walking his dog, and because you're allowed to bring your pets, and he looked at, we started a conversation about that, and he said, "Did you see that piece right there?" And I said to him, I said, "Yeah," I said, "it's kind of interesting. I don't really get it." And he said, "I didn't get it either until I took a video of it." He said, "Take a video of it and it'll change your perspective." And so I turned on my phone, I turned on the camera, and what I saw was not this three-dimensional object of mirrors and glass and light. It was this most profound holographic experience I've ever witnessed. And what was so interesting is as I tilted my camera, I got different views and different images, and it was almost like you were going into some sort of a time warp. But I thought, what a great, and I ended up running into him, and I said, thank you, so much for that, because what it did, it totally transformed my experience of that piece. And not only that, it sort of was like the watering that flowered, that caused the seeds to grow and flower, because I thought, how about living in the holographic universe, and how, just by switching an angle or a perspective on something, it totally transforms the journey. And, I think for me, when you do something you love, you will attract the people around you that are engaged and want to experience that. Some people will say, well, I'm not creative. Well, there were everything from 6-year-old to 81-year-old who contributed to this art event. Some things were a little bit better than others. It was somebody took their BMW and spray painted it with Pac-Man figures. I thought, wow, that's a commitment to art. That's a big commitment to art.
No kidding.
And they put, skeletons driving it. But, it was whimsical. It made people smile. It made people question. What's sort of fun when you walk around that, you engage with other people. And when people say, well, I'm not creative, well, you, as a human being, you started out as a wonder of creation. Your cells divide each day. We're creating different things, and we attract really what it is that we put out. So, when you wake up every day, and I know that you do this, that the hours ahead of you are filled with opportunities. Life, color, clarity, sunsets, sunrises. And as you said, Michael, when you're driving, you love to take a picture in the mirror and see what lays behind, sometimes maybe even what lays before you, because you never know what to expect. It's never, ever going to be the same sunset. It doesn't matter, and sometimes you can't even capture sometimes the beautiful colors that there are. And I think it's a really great metaphor for life. And so I think as you do, sometimes you can intentionally, join a group of people. You can look, there's lots of tools now with the internet where you can find like-minded people, whether it be through social media or meetups that share common interests. And you might go to an event, and you might find that really there's nobody that's in resonance, nobody that inspires you or makes you want to have a conversation. But sometimes I'll be walking in the grocery store, and I'll run into somebody with a smile, and we're start chatting, and next thing you know, they've given me several gifts of information that I never would have had if I hadn't been open. So
so true.
It's amazing. So with you, Michael, how you've got these individuals that are in your life, your sister, friends. What are some other ways that you attract individuals into your mastermind group?
Well, the one thing I make sure of, and made sure of 30+ years ago, is that my inner conversation was aligned with what I wanted. When you are seeking creativity and use the self-talk like I am not creative, you are really shutting down that everybody's creative. Everyone is creative. And that's the kind of, and you have to change that dialogue. You have to say, I am creative, not I am. Get rid of the not. Your mind doesn't understand not. I am creative. I am inspired, right? I am successful. I am whatever it is that you aspire to be. Your inner conversation has to reflect has to positively support the intention that you're looking to manifest. So to someone who says, I'm not creative, I would say, yeah, you're creative. That, and say so. If you want to be creative, you must say, I am creative. If you want to be prosperous, you got to say, I am prosperous. All you're doing is shutting down the manifestational pathways that can help you actually reach that level or achieve that thing that you're looking to achieve, to manifest it in the first place. There are common pathways and channels. Your common interests, beautiful. I love that. I love the common interest aspect of things. Because, obviously I'm going back kind of talking about these things I'm writing down as you're talking, that I want to compliment you on, because that is one of the most amazing places to begin. If you play soccer, or you play baseball, or you play softball, or you play basketball, sport, or you are an artist, you want to avail yourself of any and every opportunity to engage in art. That's where you find people who have a common interest of art. And so going to that festival was fabulous, because, and I'm glad they had it, by the way. That is not something that I've seen in a while. However, I like the idea of it, where everybody brings something that they've created. And so everybody can really participate. People think art is some kind of, highbrow kind of thing, and that you have to be really good at what you do. Art is up to your interpretation. That is what it is. And I've drawn 100%. Before. I have drawing skills, but I don't use them that much, except for the angel that I created and other note cards that I've created, the designs. And we have to, as a great place to begin, anyone, I would say, figure out what your interests are, write down 2 or 3 interests that you have more than any other things you're passionate about, and then start looking for opportunities to experience that passion. And like I said, as an example, art, look for art festivals. If you have to drive an hour, drive an hour. Go to an art festival. Talk to the artists. Find out how they got started doing what they're doing. Find out what, you'll see what they're passionate about. Yeah, they're looking to sell something, but you don't necessarily have to buy something. The bottom line is anyone who is creative and is experiencing a life that they really want to be living, the life doing the thing that they love, would love to talk about it. It's just, everybody does. You do, I do. I don't know anybody who doesn't love something and who loves something and doesn't want to talk about it. You do. You want to talk about how'd you get started? What was the one thing that what was your biggest hitch in the giddy up? What was the thing that prevented you from getting to where you are right now? The obstacle that you had to get over and get through. And they love to talk about their successes, and so get them talking about their successes. I am thinking about this whole concept from a standpoint of relational connection. It always gets back to that. A lot of people are too shy to talk to people they don't know, and the common interest situation quotient, I should say, common interest quotient, can help break down those walls. When you have an interest in something and other people have like interests as you, they can talk. You can get them talking about their interest, and then you can interject, and you become more comfortable as the conversation goes on about what you're doing. And then you can make a friend, and you can make a contact, make a connection with someone, and keep doing that. Just keep doing it. Some are going to turn into deeper connections. Others will not. It's just a function of just getting out there and doing it, and that's what's most important here right about now is the do part. And just don't put any obstacles in front of you. Don't be your own obstacle. Don't be your own. Don't put yourself in the way of creating this for yourself.
Well, Michael, you've talked about before, non-attachment and letting go, and I think, when you have, you're thinking about building, a mastermind group, you need to, within yourself, I think a lot of people struggle with confidence. Am I going to be of value to a group? When you're going to join something, that really, I think, for some people may be a barrier. How do you get started? I don't know if I have value enough to be part of that group. One of the things they did a few years ago in the city as well, they did a thing called Knit the Bridge. And thought it was so interesting. They put it out from every community. Anybody could submit like just a knit square. And that's all they had to do was just a little thing. And then what the volunteers do, they actually sewed all of the little pieces together. And not only did they do a bridge, they actually covered a tree in this knitting. And you could go, and it was so interesting to see, the color combination. I thought, what a great metaphor for society. You have all of these different, communities that each has its own unique gifts. And then that was just something simple that could come together. But that probably came about through somebody's mastermind group. What could we do, in fiber that would be a little bit different, that would maybe make people happy, maybe make people question, like, what are these nuts doing? Covering a bridge and knitting. What purpose does that? That may be a question that a lot of people ask. Like, if what I have an idea for something, but somebody's going to think it's stupid. What value would it have? What purpose does that serve? Well, it really, it celebrates a lot of different things. The history, it celebrates community, it celebrates something that anybody from age, young, upwards has the ability to do. I was listening to a book actually just recently by Dr. Joe Vitale called Karmic Marketing. And it was, he said that sometimes, and the whole thing about karmic marketing was that you give something out with no intention of receiving something back. So you do something that will make a difference to somebody else. And he said he received just, within, I think it's the last several years, sort of recognition for something that he had done. He had been a part of a movie called The Secret with a gentleman named Jack Canfield, who was very well known for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he learned of a young man. Now, Joe Vitale had at one time been homeless and was able to sort of raise himself up from that position to being a very successful businessman and marketer, and also not just an entrepreneur, but somebody who gave back. And he was credited by this young man. He received a letter, who had also been homeless. But in his situation, he went from homeless to being a billionaire. I don't know. Have you seen this young man at all?
No, I haven't
actually. So basically he was from Switzerland. He sort of didn't really fit in. He decided that he would leave and sort of take his inheritance from his grandfather's death and go to Thailand, and sort of found himself on the beaches, and within a short time had used up his funds. He landed in Bangkok thinking, okay, well, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to go right to Thailand. I'm going to be right on the beach. He didn't realize when he flew into Bangkok it wasn't anywhere near the beaches. It was a big city. And so within a short period of time, he had used up his funds. And, he ended up sort of on the wrong side of the tracks, and he was a little bit too proud to reach out to his family, so he reached out to a friend, and sort of exhausted their generosity. And finally, somebody sent him a book, and it happened to be the book The Secret. And he said that when he read it, he said he got the book and he was really irritated. He thought, here I'm asking for money. This guy is sending me a book. What a dumb thing. That was his first reaction. And he said, and so as he started reading, he thought, what, I'm going to disprove this thing. This thing cannot work at all.
Oh, yeah.
What?
This is a gentleman. I've heard of him. Yeah,
Andreas Pira is his name. And although he, went to disprove it, here, in fact, he started attracting all of the things that he could have ever dreamed and beyond the possible. And so he reached out to Joe Vitale, and Joe said, hey, you know what? We need to write a book about this. So they co-authored it. But, it was interesting because he credited both Jack Canfield and Joe Vitale for really turning his life around and showing what could be possible. I haven't read the book yet. I'm really eager to read the book. It sounds really fascinating. But in this particular gentleman, this I believe, from what I understand, he is also using his billions to give back to the community, which I think is really amazing. Just really, and I believe in his what he's doing too. One of the things that Joe had said is that he's doing business differently. He really values his employees, and he's really making a difference. Yeah. And how you go from that place from fear to inspiration to really giving back through what Joe Vitale calls karmic marketing is fascinating. So
that is a great book. That's the kind of thing that I've used that process, that concept for decades, and in another industry that I've worked in. And one of the things that's interesting is that you have to give without the attachment to receiving something. It is, most people, when they give, they only give with the prerequisite that they are going to get something back. So it's sort of like some barter or exchange or whatever. Giving of yourself begets great things when you release yourself from the attachment of receiving something in return. And that is, or even acknowledgement, which may come. It's fine. You got to say thank you and accept it graciously, because being acknowledged is something also that's a blessing to you. What came to mind when you were talking is that we all have a destiny. We all have a destiny. We're here for some reason, and our talents, our gifts are a clue to what our destiny is. And I know a lot of young people who ask, what am I meant to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. Well, I didn't know what I thought I was supposed to do even at 27. I had no clue. I think up until, believe it or not, up until 60, be 64 next month, actually, in just about a month. And I can't tell you that I was totally and completely understanding of why I'm here until the last couple of years. It was really interesting. All along the way, I had a sense of what my I understood my skills, and I'd done a lot of meditation, a lot of reading, a lot of speaking with people, and I just sort of took an assessment. I'm always taking an assessment of myself and what my skills and talents are. And I find that really helps. It helps to learn about yourself, what your personality is, personality traits are, what your talents and gifts are. Are you good with your hands? Are you great talking with people? Are you persuasive? Are you somebody who's a creative? Are you somebody who solves problems very easily? It just comes to you like water coming out of a faucet. Are you good at fixing things and intuiting solutions to problems? Or are you good at math? Are you good at whatever it may be? The combination of, or should I say, the compilation of your various talents and gifts can be used in service to others. You just have to figure out how. Do what you love, and you'll be successful. You'll also attract other people, because love is a very powerful frequency that you can vibrate at. This particular gentleman, this story, what I find fascinating about him is that it seemed that he made a transformation from the struggle he was in and the lower frequency thinking of I don't know how I'm going to get, the fight and survival, being homeless, to experiencing what was in the secret at the right time. He was supposed to experience that, and then his initial response is the same kind of thing that I find a lot of people have who are into chaos and drama and distraction and a lower frequency living, 3D living, I call it. And what I'm happy that he did was to step back and see the book in a different way. And
yes, 100%.
That's the key. That's the key, is to step back instead of saying, what's this going to do for me? This isn't what I wanted. I wanted money because I wanted to be able to eat or get a hotel room or whatever tonight, find a place to live or stay. Wait a minute. What you have is much deeper. This is when you change your consciousness, change your thinking about yourself and your life, everything changes for you. And that's the whole the adage of change your thinking and you change your life. Change your thoughts about yourself and you change your life. And as Vimla would tell you, change your handwriting and you'll change your life.
I can't wait to have her on. Absolutely.
It is. It's all. It's the key here is that the takeaway is that it's all within you. It wasn't something externally that changed. It was something internally that changed, and that's the beauty of it. To me, that's the whole book. You think you could tell that thing to me? I don't have to read the book. I understand the concept. I've read a lot of books and I've talked to a lot of people. The bottom line is, what I look for in those kinds of stories is what was the catalyst. Catalyst was they went inside. You look for that point. When did it happen? What was the catalyst that made them look inside? And I have another friend who lives in Cambodia, Siem Reap, who experienced the same kind of inner transformation. And it was the catalyst for him was a gentleman, an Indian doctor at the VA hospital in Atlanta. I mean, this man was angry at himself, angry at the world. And the doctor laid out 8 points for him that he needed to think about in his life, and those 8 points were designed to help him look inside. And when he did that, he started traveling around the world, ended up in Thailand and then Siem Reap, and he's been there for 4 years and loving it, and he connected with a lot of monks who were also giving him a lot of wisdom. And it's not by accident. Not by accident. His life was to be enriched his life was enriched once you looked inside. When you start looking inside, start working on you, and this is what we're talking about. Mastermind starts inside of you. The concepts, the ideas, the frequency of mastermind. Masterminding is, in my view, up there with enlightenment, because that is what you're doing. You're getting enlightenment. So you adopt that mastermind mentality, where you set the intention to be your own mastermind and think from that concept. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to change your mind. I keep telling this all the time. You're thinking, I don't have any money, I don't have a place to live. Look, what you don't have isn't what's important. What you do have is you. You can create an entirely new reality. It starts in your own thinking, though. You have to, instead of thinking fight and struggle, think thrive. I'm thriving. I'm meeting people. I'm out there. And I feel good about myself. I feel awesome about myself. I feel good about my life. I can write a new chapter in my book, my life story. Do it. It starts in your mind. How do you create it? What do you want to do? And the people will gravitate towards you. Gravitate towards you, and your destiny will unfold before you. Being of service to others is what, in my view, Mastermind group is about. And I'm always cognizant of how can I do that? How can I be of service to someone else, and service to myself, and service, because without being service to myself and treating myself with those love, kindness, happiness, joy, empathy, compassion, I have to be in forgiveness and gratitude. I have to basically be that myself, embody it myself, live from that basis, and then you'll start attracting people into your life and circumstances into your life that kind of karmic goodness that not only Joe Vitale was talking about, but that monks talk about all the time. People think karma is some kind of karma is an everyday thing. It's how you it's giving without the need to receive, and having the goodness flow back to you. That's karma. It's right there. It happens all the time. And when you find yourself angry at somebody else for some reason, when you look inside to find out what your actual reasoning is behind that, you'll find that it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. And when you change, which you can do with the snap of a finger, you can change your mind with a snap of a finger. It's that simple. You can move forward.
Absolutely.
And do it. So that brilliant story, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant story.
And I think he could have received that book and thrown it in the trash. But as you said, he opened up his mind, his heart, his connection. Maybe there was that connection to his friend that was, he could feel the love that went in once he went past his anger. And, as you were speaking, Michael, I was thinking about Jen Sincero, who also is an author of the Badass series of books. Now, what was interesting about her experience with masterminding, she said, well, she wanted to join a group, and each week she would go, and she could see and she could make suggestions, she could offer all these things, and she was coming up with all these creative ideas for other people's businesses, and at the end of like 8 weeks, she's like, oh my God, I don't have any idea of, here I've been giving all these wonderful ideas to all these other people. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And then it hit her. She said, she contacted the person who started the group and said, hey, do you need a facilitator for these groups? Because she saw her gift in what it was that she had the ability to do. And the person said, oh my gosh, I would absolutely love to have you do that, and I can pay you for it. She was like, wow. Oh my gosh, and there each week that she went, it wasn't about what she was going to get. It was about what she could give. And that, I think, is so important. And that's why each week when we come here on Connect to Love here on PRN FM, and I encourage you to listen to the podcast so you can, if you have missed some of the episodes, and even to listen to Michael's Life Mood podcast, because each week you don't know, like when we do this, we do it out of love, and we don't know what nuggets, golden nuggets that somebody is going to receive that may help them create their own miracle. I know that for me it's a gift. I look forward to it so much. I get so much, and it inspires me beyond measure, and I'm just so grateful. And I just truly.
As do I. I really love these. This is one of the most amazing hours of my week. I spend a lot of time sitting here at my desk and creating and doing things and reading and listening and watching. However, the relational connection that we put together on a weekly basis is something that to me is precious. And the fact that this is my opportunity to give back to our listeners. And if anything else, if nothing else, I should say, help our listeners understand that life is, you don't have to accept your circumstances. You don't have to accept your thinking. You can change it all in a heartbeat. And get away from the environment, because if your thinking is negative, if you're in the 3D struggle of life, and in the drama and the distraction that occurs, that is so rampant nowadays, your life is, and the people you are surrounded by are a reflection of that. They are validating that thinking that you have. And if you want a different life, you have to start with yourself and then envision a different life and start thinking differently. And enlighten yourself as to, with these podcasts, with the Life Moves podcast, with books. There are, self-help is the biggest genre of books in the world, because people have experiences that they're sharing, and you can find the treasure to enrich your life in any of those things. And you'll be guided to the things that you really need to move forward. And I love that story about the woman too, by the way. It's what she was doing, and how all of a sudden she had this boom burst of epiphany where she said, I'm already doing this. Let's see if I can do this and have fun. And she didn't even know she could make a living at it. And that's so absolutely wonderful. One last story. I got to tell you this really, really quickly.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to let you sign off because we're coming to the end. So I'm going to let you tell this story, and please
give me what, 30 seconds a minute?
No, we have actually a little bit more than that. But please, I'll let you sign off on the show.
I'll just tell you the story. And number one, thank you so much for another wonderful hour, another wonderful week. I'm so blessed by your presence and grateful for your friendship and your and everything about you, which is so wonderful. Your energy and frequency and spirit. This particular gentleman that has been a friend of mine, my sister, she's known him for over 40 years. And he was a great artist, fantastic artist, and couldn't figure out how to make a living from his art, which he was amazing at. So he calls her, and this fits into the masterminding thing. They've been masterminding for years. She's given him lots of different ideas and this and that. So a month ago, 4 weeks ago, she says, hey, they're talking. He's just, you're a great artist, and you like I think it's Harry Potter, Hobbits, something like that, whatever that particular story is about hobbits. There's several books by the Hobbit books. I can't think of it at this particular point, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. J.R. Tolkien. There we go.
Yeah.
So she says, why don't you have somebody read J.R. Tolkien while you are drawing its characters? Do it as a video.
Wow.
A video. Now listen. So as he's drawing a character, this woman is reading a chapter out of the book, and he completes whatever it is. Here's what happens. 4 weeks ago, just 4 weeks, he starts doing this. His first video, 1 million views. 1 million views. He's had
goodness,
4 or 5.
Every
one of them.
Wow.
Every one of them. 1 million or better, right? 1 million or better. Everyone. Now, he's still not making a living in this, but he's giving of himself, right? He's giving of himself. Last week, he gets a call from an art school that wants to pay him to go all over the world to teach people how to draw.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
They want to fly him. They want to pay him $6,000 every time he goes somewhere. They wanted to, and it's like, she says, Michael, this started 4 weeks ago, and he's got millions of views.
Gosh.
And I said, brilliant. And he says, I told him to do this, and he finally did something I suggested, and it's gone crazy. It's gone viral, and it's like, and he's doing what he loves. Now he gets to travel and get paid and do it. He and his wife get to go to these wonderful places around the world, Italy and France and UK and all these places where they want to pay to send him to teach these kids in school how to draw. Wonderful, isn't it?
That's
anything
beautiful.
can happen.
Everything and anything is possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
amazing.
All starts having a mastermind, having somebody, even if it's just one person, it's wonderful. So anything, if that story doesn't get you your blood pumping about creating a mastermind situation, starting with one and moving on. One is good. One is awesome. Two can happen if it's supposed to, but work on one person. Work on yourself, and then you'll attract that one person in. And be alert to what you're doing, and pay attention, because when you ask for something, the universe for something, and it gives it to you, you have to recognize that it's being given to you. All right, that's my story, last story, finishing story, and I thank you so much. Connect to Love, the podcast, where you can listen to all of this over again. Share it with somebody who you know needs it and could use it in their life right now. There's some great stuff, great content. Okay, until next week, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
So grateful.